Ooh, this looks so good.
It's really crusty.
Our Tuscan crust bread, crusty bread. I love it. I love that crunch on the outside. This would be great with soup, huh?
Be great with anything.
Now, what are you going to make for us today?
Well, I was gonna make a quick Tuscan bread. And if you've ever been to Italy and had that hard crusted bread with all the holes inside, it's hard to find a bread like that in America. And I love that bread. Family loves it. So I thought, why not find a way to make that? My family loves Kalamata olives. And, you know, welcome to America, we have Costco. So I get the big jar of those Kalamata olives, and they are great. And they're pitted. Make sure you use pitted olives, because nobody likes to bite into a crusty bread with a hard pit in it.
Quick question, for folks who are not familiar with a Kalamata, can you show us one of them?
So this is a Kalamata olive. It's a Greek olive, and it's got a lot of flavor, a lot of salt in it. And I just cut them in half, and they're pitted already. And I just get about a cup for the bread. I see 3 cups of all-purpose flour, bread flour, or any flour you want to use. I use bread flour only because I have it, but if I had plain flour, I'd use regular flour. I got 1.5 cups of room temperature water. I've got a half a teaspoon of yeast. And this is 1 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Well, what I do is I throw the salt in the flour, and I throw the yeast in the flour, and then I throw all that into a pan. And you can use a bowl, the silver bowl, metal, or you can use a plastic bowl. All you want to do now is add the water and mix. So I'm going to grab a spatula, and you just mix it with a spatula.
Before you do that, last time you cooked with us, you explained that you were a landscape architect, correct?
Yep.
What are you going to say?
Just going to add the water to this, and you can see how wet it is. So we're just going to mix it up, and at this point I'd like to throw the olives in.
It's beautiful already, folks.
Now, how long is this? 5 minutes? Not even, and you got bread. This is it. This is done. See how wet it is?
Yeah. And that's it.
That's it.
Oh, wow. Okay, now, so after you...
So the dough is done, right? So I'm just going to cover this up with a plastic wrap, put a cover on it. And let that rise for 12 to 18 hours.
12 to 18 hours.
Yep. So you make it the day before. You get up in the morning, make fresh bread. And I like to cover it. I like to put it on my stove only because it's a little warmer than other places, because it's been used and like at that heat. I like to take a damp towel that's wet and just put it over. I just wring it out so it's a wet towel, and I put it on the oven and let it rise for 12 to 14 hours. Very easy. This is what it looks like 12 hours earlier, and this is how it rises up after 12 hours.
So you made the first one last night, huh?
Yeah. Again, 5 minutes.
5 minutes to mix it.
Yep. So this is parchment paper. I cut the parchment paper to put in the pot so that this doesn't stick. You can put flour down, but I like the parchment paper because everything slips right out. I've got the oven heating up. What I'm going to do, we heat the oven to between 400 and 500. I start at 500, so it's got a little bit more ways to go. So I just put the pot in empty with the top on and let it heat up for an hour. After I heat that up for an hour, I take it out carefully And I put the parchment paper in then, and I dump this dough just like it is. You can see how soft and wet it is. It's supposed to be wet. And I just scrape this out with my spatula, dump it into the bottom of the pot on top of the parchment paper, and cook it for 30 minutes with the top on at 500 degrees. I'm gonna take the bread out now, Curtis. Now this is the first 30 minutes with the top on. So as you can see, the top is still on. So I'm gonna take the top off now. I want you to get a look at that bread.
This is beautiful. Wow.
Now I'm gonna put this back in for 20 to 30 minutes. It depends on how much you want that crust to brown and harden.
So right now, this would be kind of a soft bread, you're saying?
No, it's still hard. See, it's hard, but it's not crusty. It's not dark.
So you're going to cook it now, same temperature?
Same temperature. Never change the temperature. It's 500 when you heat the pot, 500 for the first 30 minutes with the top on, 500 for the next 20 minutes with the top off.
Why'd you get the cloth, man?
What's that?
You got a cloth?
Yeah, I just got a cloth to put it on. That's it. It's done.
You just wrap it?
I just wrap it up to keep it warm. This is done. Look at the parchment paper and how it came right out.
Nice. Easy cleanup, huh?
See the bottom?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, this is loaf. You have whole olives, right?
Whole olives, but I should have cut them.
Wow, I want to taste one of those olives. Can I pull one out?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's so good. Nice and crusty. Thump it one more time. Bellissimo. Vince, thanks for sharing the recipe.
You bet.
All right. Bakers, y'all, this is Vince Lattanzi, and I'm thinking about doing a series of at-home Italian cooking with Vincenzo.
So we're just having fun.
That's what cooking is.
You know why we cook? So we can eat.
That's the best part about cooking. Thanks, Vince.
You bet. Bye.
Oh my God, this is